Gentlemen, if you are watching this video, the chances that you're going through a hard moment is very high. And before we get into the context of today, I do want you to know that this is somewhere where you can have extreme accountability, somewhere you can ask questions and look to rebuilding your life. We're going to cover themes of fitness, the gym, your health, mindset, and give you a clear, structured plan in order to move forwards in this difficult moment. So, without getting too much into it, look, today we're going to cover three topics. We've got acceptance, a plan, and your purpose. And after that, we have absolute aggression. Okay, so let's begin with acceptance. Now, obviously, you may have had this fresh. This may be something that has happened months ago, years ago, decades ago. But the truth still remains the same. And that truth is that you are here because you are not over it. You wouldn't be here if you had moved on with your life. So the first part of moving on is acceptance. There's a few different ways that you can get over this situation. And the first one is stop the hypotheticals. You can never accept a situation if you are constantly replaying conversations in your head, constantly saying to yourself, I could have said this better, I could have said this differently, blaming her, which is even worse. Even though you may be right in what you think, maybe she did do you wrong, maybe she cheated on you, maybe she disrespected you. But as a man, we go through breakups differently as a woman. So if you can get yourself to a point where you can delude your brain enough that you can basically believe everything was your fault, that's how you're going to move on from this. And examples of that would be maybe I allowed too much disrespect, which in turn made her disrespect me and feel like she could get away with it. Maybe I gave her too much attention. Maybe I showered her with too many gifts, which is all true realities. The amazing thing is when you focus on yourself, not only are you going to improve and self-improve, but you are going to be a better person going forwards with your own life and in your next relationships. So the first point is acceptance, getting over it and making sure that you do so. The next part is the plan. Now, you can have acceptance, but without a plan, you're going to fall back into the same habits that you've had, especially if you broke up ages ago. You have to have a plan, and you have to have a plan that has purpose. Who are you? What do you believe? Who do you want to be? Who were you before her? Now, I hope you have a pen and paper to ask yourself these questions or even pause the video because these are essential to moving forwards. Now, for me, my purpose is family. I have a wife now. She's pregnant. We're having a child in September. My purpose is building an empire with her. And you can reverse engineer that in many ways. I know that in order to do that, I need to be successful. I know that to do that and to have time with my children and to be healthy, I need to go to the gym. I need to be aggressive with everything that I do because if I don't, I will not fulfill my purpose. Now, your purpose can be whatever you want, whether it's to make more money, get in shape, do MMA, have a family, whatever it may be. You need to find your purpose. And then from that, you're going to be able to make a plan. So now we've got acceptance. We have a plan. We have our purpose. This next point is arguably the most important part in execution. And as I mentioned, that is absolute aggression with the first two things. You can accept things, you can have a plan, you can have purpose, but if you're still the same person that you were after the breakup, weak, insecure, lacking confidence, lazy, bad habits, all of the work that you've done over the next few weeks will crumble. You need to be aggressive. And aggression starts with never, 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 never speaking negatively about yourself, even if it's as a joke, which I'm sure many of you have done. If you've doing this after your breakup, you've probably spent months in a bad thought process, depressed, because you're constantly thinking about bad thoughts. So a part of the aggression, it has to come from your thoughts. Now, you can control your thoughts through meditation. I recommend you start 5 minutes every single day. Sit down, stare at a wall, stare at a candle, clear your mind. And once you've done that, I want you to take a book or a journal and just write 1 page of positive thoughts about yourself, even if you don't believe them. You're going to do this daily, and you're going to get to a point where you no longer have the negative thoughts, and you've deluded yourself with so much confidence that no longer these thoughts creep into your head. When you get to that state where you are deluded, you have extreme self-confidence, you know that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. This is where your plan and your purpose come into effect, and you start making more money, you start speaking to more women, finding your potential wife or partner, and everything starts forming together to the stage where you probably don't believe it right now, but a stage where you're no longer even thinking about your ex and you're actually laughing at the fact you spent so much time wondering and worrying about getting her back and if you could ever find somebody better.